whenever I come across something, some article somewhere.
Well, as Mr. Dennis Prager, Dean of the world's least prestigious university, I can only assume that you slam to the ground so overwhelmed by the existence of words in front of you that you just can't take it anymore. Of course, then given enough time and a box of crayons, you can eventually come to terms and finally read the thing. But God forbid you actually come away with anything approaching a good point. We wouldn't want the universe to fucking implode now, would we?
I always ask, does it make a bigger point, or is it just, as it were, a news piece?
I can only guess that for Denny, things are making bigger points when it's something he agrees with already, or it's something he can twist to fit his agenda. And anything that doesn't do those things he specifically wants are just news pieces. News spelled N-O-O-S, obviously. Not because he's using it in a derogatory manner, but because that's how bad he is at spelling, which is even worse than I am. Damn.
So here's the article. It was in the Jerusalem Post.
I'll be honest, of all the high-end academic journals I have ever heard of, that's not one of them. So it's not a scientific article by any stretch of the imagination, but, well, one of those just news articles. Now, that's not to say they aren't reporting on some actual scientific study with all the double blinds and control groups and large sample sizes and all that good stuff, but it's weird that they don't directly link the paper, and more weird that you didn't go out and find it and talk about that instead. But what we got is what you're giving us, so we shall go with that. I'm sure it's fine.
Just a few days ago. I-E-Y-E. I.
Ah, look at Den Boy showing off that not only can he spell I of the ball variety, but also that he knows the difference between one of those and himself. I mean, I'm impressed. Look at those. I'm amazed anyone can tell the difference. Pretty sure that's just the same picture twice.
I signage placed in operating rooms increases civility among staff.
Okay, that sounds a little odd and very Big Brother-esque. You know, that thing that is supposed to be a bad thing from, 1984? And is also a bad thing from around the 2000s. Honestly, I'm not sure which is worse. A domineering government, always watching, always judging, or a bunch of attention-seeking dipshits being turned into Z-list celebrities overnight by doing essentially fucking nothing all day. And somehow, people loved it. How we didn't know that humanity was doomed already, I have no idea.
Now, who can guess what point I want to make?
Oh my goodness, I do not know how to feel about that shit-eating grin. From one angle, you could say that it's almost delightfully childish. It makes him look like a kid who has discovered a jar of infinite cookies. But from another angle, it looks like the teethy grin of a witch who has just seen a small human reach into the fake jar of unlimited cookies that they put out as bait for unsuspecting idiot juveniles. Comment now which you think it is, and you'll get a chance to reach into my infinite whiskey jarro. Come on.
You know you want to.
It's fascinating.
Your bad point is fascinating, is it? Well, I'll give you that. I'm sure it will be extremely interesting just how bad a point you make, while simultaneously being super self-assured that it is an amazing point that only one of the biggest brainers in the world will ever do the being of able to come up with. I am 100% sure.
So the eye signage, what does that mean?
I presume that there are signs, right? With eyes on them. I mean, it's in the fucking name, dude. Come on. You're smarter than this. You know how to spell I into everything. Although, everyone make sure not to tell him that there's also I for agreement. And definitely don't tell him that the word for words that are different words that are spelled different but sound similar are homophones. I wouldn't want his eyes to fall out.
Here's how the article begins. This is the subhead.
Oh, for fuck's sake. You know you could save some time by, showing the article. That way, you wouldn't have to explain completely unnecessary portions of the things, yeah? And I know I explain unnecessary information all the time, but I know that the person that I'm directly talking to is an idiot, and... Oh, right, never mind. I get why he does it now.
Several unsuccessful interventions have been tried around the world to eliminate poor behavior among surgical teams.
Interesting. What kind of poor behavior? Oh, okay. It's civility. And you know what? I don't know about anyone else, but this all depends on what impact being civil has on the results of my fucking surgery. Because to be completely frank, if my life is on the line and surgeon Samantha Hardass needs to call Nurse John Wawaface a fucking idiot and to get his head in the goddamn game, then civility in the theatre. My life is more important than any goddamn professional's feelings about being told to do their freaking job. I don't know. I could be wrong, but it seems to me that high-stress environments might lead to a little bit of necessary incivility. And hey, you can always put a thank you before calling someone a useless wanker. That'll fix everything.
Did you even know surgical teams had poor behavior? Okay, it's not the point at all, though.
Like you have a point. And are you fucking joking? I imagine that a lot of surgeries are a bit like Hell's Kitchen. Lots of high stress and shouting and mistakes being reprimanded, with a pair of lungs being placed at the sides of a medical intern's head, followed by the phrase, "What are you?" responded to with "an idiot and lung sandwich." Except worse, because instead of the steak a la cordon dente being a steak, it's an actual person's ability to do an alive. So much less important, really. And it takes a staggering lack of imagination to not even have considered that might be the case. Thank you, Dennis, you useless wanker.
Including workshops and training sessions. However, the eye signage works.
Like, assuming that it works at all, I would be surprised if it works for all that long. I mean, seriously, back to the Big Brother thing, at least in the early ones, people were hyper aware in the first few days that, yeah, you're being constantly watched. Don't do anything too weird / assholey. But eventually, they basically forget that there are cameras there for the most part. Same with most reality TV to an extent. Sure, they will know that they are there when they care, but most of the time they don't care. Also, later seasons and the types of more, I can't believe they did that sort of content, it moves into more of a they're acting like dicks because they are always being watched. But yeah, I doubt it would make that much difference overall. I'm happy to be wrong, but experience tells me otherwise.
Any surgery is a traumatic experience, but fear that surgeons will make offensive comments about you in the operating room while under anesthesia is just as worrisome.
Wait, what? That's the problem? Holy shit, I thought this was about staff giving each other grief. Who gives a fuck if they talk about me while I'm goddamn unconscious? Guess what? I'm unconscious, and even if somehow I did know what they were saying, so they all kept it to themselves, they're still thinking it, and I don't know, I'm not all that bothered by a bunch of people looking down at my system of organs and thinking, nice. But that's only because my intestines are in the shape of a 69, and they sit in a pool of undiluted whiskey.
I can't say. Just for the record, I don't care what they say about me while I'm being operated on, as long as they do a good job.
Oh no, wait, I take it all back. I do care. I do, really. Not care. Damn it. Do I have to actually agree with Dennis that is a kind of fair and completely reasonable point? Fuck. I mean, you do have to wonder if he's saying it to avoid the old snowflake feelings comments, but then again, he talks about his snowflake feelings all the time when it's about God, so whatever. But yeah, fine. He said something not stupid. It happens sometimes. I'm sorry.
But it doesn't matter. That's not my point anyway.
It's kind of amazing how many things you've said that aren't your point. I mean, I was joking about you not having one earlier, but now I'm starting to wonder.
Australian researchers have conducted a successful experiment to prevent rude comments in operating theaters by placing eye signage in operating rooms.
See, it's an successful experiment. It's like literally one. I even checked, and you know how I said about control groups and shit like that? Yeah, to my eye, ironically, it looks like they had one group that was then compared to itself, and that's it. Now, that doesn't mean that this doesn't work, but as a non-scientist guy, I'm pretty damn sure that this is basically not exactly much, and even they say that there needs to be more research. Essentially, it proves dick all other than it worked this one time maybe. To say that I'm not exactly impressed is one thing, but that Dennis apparently is, well, that says more about him than I ever could in a single video.
The eye images without any accompanying explanation that were attached to the walls of an operating room in an orthopedic hospital in Adelaide markedly reduced poor behavior among surgical teams.
By dramatically, it went down from around 1 a month to less than that after 3 months. Yeah, maybe, but again, even the writers of this thing think that other shit like training and better work culture, which speculation though it may be, would probably be a little more effective than plastering a bunch of eyeballs all over the fucking place.
Lead researcher Professor Cherry Ostroff attributed the result to a perception of being watched, even though the eyes were not real.
So the conclusion is surgeons are just as dumb as the rest of us. Awesome. I am just as smart as a surgeon. That's my conclusion, because I do stupid shit and they do stupid shit. Therefore, I deserve a doctorate. I think it's the only fair thing, really.
Okay, folks. When I read that,
apparently you fucking came. Look at that face. I think it's been decided by Dennis that he is in fact some sort of baby-eating monster. I didn't even know he was an atheist. Damn, you think you know someone, and then they turn around and shatter all your illusions of them. Like that time that God proved that he exists. What? That never happened? Wait, who am I thinking of? Oh, right. No one. You're all figments of my imagination. What the hell is wrong with me?
it was as delicious
as a baby. Yeah, Dennis, you don't have to go on and on about it. Damn, it's making me hungry.
as a good cigar.
As a former smoker and one who has partaken in many different types of cigars, I never really got it. It all just kind of tastes like cigarette smoke. And it's kind of the same with coffee. A hint of bitter with the bitter finish and aftertaste of bitter. Yum. Now, if they make whiskey flavored cigars, I still wouldn't try it because I'm one of those assholes who stopped smoking and never felt the need to take it up again. And yes, I am completely smug about that fact.
Because that little article, there's more to the article, but that's the basic point.
You know, it's hilarious that me, the asshole YouTuber who, according to idiots, makes no arguments ever and doesn't know shit, and yet will quote PragerU at me. I did more research than Dennis. I read both the article and the paper, you know, because I actually give a shit about knowing what I'm talking about. And he doesn't do that. So if you like him, just know that it's him that you like. His opinions on reality are fucking meaningless.
That article makes the case for the moral necessity of God.
No, it fucking doesn't. All it does, at best, is show that maybe people will behave a little bit better if there are eyes all over the shop. But that's not the same thing as making people more moral. In fact, if anything, the opposite is actually true. Because as a great quote goes, the true measure of your character is what you do when nobody's watching. If God is always watching you, then who the even are you? You will never have the opportunity to demonstrate that you are a good person. No action you take can be judged solely on you thinking that you are alone. And not to big up atheism, it's already the best thing ever, but in a quite literal sense, the atheist who doesn't steal from the unattended charity jar is demonstrably a more moral individual than the Christian who does the same, because it's impossible to know if they wouldn't do it if they didn't think God was real. And that's kind of pathetic, really.
Better than any single article I have ever read.
And he's read like 5. No, wait, sorry. His reading level is at 5. He's read 2, including this one. But joking aside, if this is better than any article you have ever read for proving the moral necessity of God, which it fucking doesn't, that means that the articles you have read are all worse than this. No wonder you do and say so much stupid shit if that's what your bar for the best of something is. That explains just so goddamn much about your complete inability to think or rationally understand fucking anything. Goddamn.
Any theology I have ever read.
Way to make it even worse. Basically, just all religious thought. Worse at proving the moral necessities of God than some fucking random study on one group of people over a few months. That FYI needs so much more research before it can be used to demonstrate fucking anything. And the thing is, I talked about the whole Big Brother deal earlier, but you know where I live? I live in the UK, one of the highest surveilled countries per capita in the world, and number one in all of Europe. And yet people do bad things all the goddamn time. What makes you think that these people, who have a very real chance of going to prison for their crimes, will be stopped by believing God is watching? None at all, because prisons are fucking chock full of the religious, you colossal goddamn moron.
Well, I want to remind you, as I do each week.
You already did. You remind us with each and every video I cover that you are not a man worth listening to about fucking anything. Seriously, I know that there are people in my audience who like PragerU for some goddamn reason. They think that they make good points about various bullshit, but mostly I can only assume it's because they sometimes confirm things that you want to believe. But Dennis and his crew don't care about the facts or what anything demonstrates. Not really. Only that they can say things that make them feel superior to whoever the bad people are in the world. And they will say anything, despite what the facts actually are, in order to do so.
To please go to PragerU.com to see the rest of this fireside chat.
I mean, you could do that, but do you really want to lose those precious brain cells? I'm sure you'll need them for something more important than any of this shit.
And may I ask you, just start each week with the PragerU.com site.
How about we say we did, but we actually do literally fucking anything else with our precious time and brain cells, like smashing your head against a brick wall. I promise you, it will cause significantly less brain damage.
Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was going to tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the